Death Stalker here. So I thought I'd talk about my fifth bike. Now, bike number 5 was a bike I had planned on purchasing the year before and had to cancel the order, and then I ended up reordering it. Was the Suzuki RG500 Gamma. Now, if you are into the exotic two-strokes, this was probably one of the holy grails. It was a square 4-cylinder, two-stroke, 500cc, small, light, incredibly well handling, and made so that it was very similar to the Suzuki 500cc Grand Prix motorcycle. And not the V that Kevin Schwantz raced, but the square 4 that Barry Sheen and Randy Mamola raced in the early 80s. And it was awesome. Like, it was one of the most thrilling, incredibly fun motorcycles to ride I've ever owned. It was also the biggest pain in the ass street bike I ever owned. So what happened originally, the bike came out, I believe it was in '85, and but it was going to be a mid-release, so it was actually going to be released, I think originally you had planned for it to be out in May, and what happened was I was told it wasn't going to be out till August, and I originally purchased it as a race bike. I had some issues with Yamaha, which I'll talk about some other time when I talk about Yamaha without using the F word in front of it, and a bunch of other 4-letter words. And I had planned on going what was called production racing, which consisted of buying a okay, of all the places you can stop, that is not one of them. So first gear, okay, so I had planned on buying it for racing and production class. There was a new class that was coming out, and it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. And unfortunately, the bike got delayed, so I was actually going to miss 90% of the season, so I actually ended up canceling it. And I ended up getting another 250. That's another story. But then the next year, I had decided I didn't want my 1000 Interceptor anymore, and I thought this thing would be a lot more fun. So I traded the 1000 Interceptor in and a little bit of cash, and I got myself a RG500. A little old bike. Of course, nowadays that could be a brand new bike made to look like an old bike. And the RG, you know, I got it, picked it up, brought it home. I think I got it in February, and you know, I had still prepped it like I was going to go racing. I did a bunch of braided brake line on it and a few other things and pieces and whatnot, and I thoroughly got it all ready to go, and then I went back to do GP racing. So it became my street bike, and I really enjoyed. I just don't trust anybody coming. I'm too blind here. So I really enjoyed it. It was lightweight. It handled like a dream. It had really good brakes. Once I put the braided brake lines on it, it accelerated. It was literally the Jekyll and Hyde of motorcycles. If you drove it, you know, like a mild manner below the power band, it was like driving a 400cc mild tuned little motorcycle with good handling. But if you let it get up to around 7,000, 7,500, it was like you unleashed the hounds sort of thing. And all of a sudden, this bike went from the mild manner, like Clark Kent, to basically Superman on crack. It was a time warp. Like, telephone poles became like fence posts. It was just beyond scary how fast this thing accelerated. So you had to be really careful. You did not open the throttle too hard on on corners and stuff like that, because this thing would spit you off in a nanosecond. But it was just unbelievable, and the sound of a 4-cylinder 2-stroke, you know, just it was awesome. Just absolutely, I just loved every minute of it. Now, you know, it was my weekend rider, but it was the first street bike I ever had that required constant maintenance to make it a weekend rider. There was a bunch of little problems with it that were finicky, and a couple of them were just royal pain. The biggest one was that as soon as you shut the bike off, you had to shut the gas off, because there was a problem with the carburetors, and they would leak. As soon as we parked the bike on its side stand, the floats would seize up or whatever, and the carburetors would start leaking fuel. If you didn't shut the gas tank off, you drained your gas tank. And of course, whatever the plastic was made out of on the fairing, the gas from the gas tank ate it. So the belly pans would actually crack. So I ended up getting 2 belly pans replaced. I don't know how many times the carburetors were in, getting readjusted and whatnot. I actually ended up learning how to do it myself, because I was getting so sick of taking it in, having them adjust it, taking them and having them adjust it, that I actually learned how to do it myself. And eventually, after not even I don't think it was even 2 years, I ended up taking it in and selling it, because although it was a, you know, awesome bike to ride, I just didn't need the hassle. I was racing Grand Prix machines that required a lot of maintenance all the time just to keep them running. I didn't want to do that on a street bike, so I just I took it in and traded it in, and I just didn't want to play with it anymore. But so that was my RG500. It was my second Suzuki. The first one was a dirt bike, but unfortunately, between the two of them, they pretty well spoiled my experience with Suzuki, and I don't really have any interest in buying one anymore. So that was the RG. It was a lot of fun, a lot of hassle. If you get a chance to ride one, I'd highly recommend it. If you want to own one, I really couldn't recommend it. So anyways, have a good one.